Hello again, Coach Brian here with Northwest Elite Spirit, and today I want to talk to you about mind control. Um, may seem like an odd topic for elite athletes and performers, but I believe that elite athletes and performers and everybody else needs to have control of their own mind, have say over their own actions, and I came to this idea through a conversation I was having with somebody. You could consider this person a woke person, I guess, and they were trying to explain to me that my personal thoughts on what an alpha male is comes from some study on wolf packs and how that study was wrong, and they're trying to say wolf packs don't really have alpha people and whatnot, and I don't want to get into all that, but I was explaining to them that I had my own personal thoughts on what an alpha was, that can kind of go into mind control. Um, for me, alpha is just the person or animal that has the most social influence within a group. It's not necessarily the person who's beating their chest or, the strongest physically or anything like that. It's the person with the most social influence. And I was explaining to him that it may not always be who you think it is. There may be somebody there beating their chest and being loud and bossing people around, and that may not be the person who's actually pulling the strings. And then also, like, as I was thinking about that, I was looking at an old Popular Mechanics magazine, and in it was this advertisement for a car, and it was saying the highest standard of living. And I was looking at the picture, and there was like the perfect little family wearing like the stylish clothes of the day, and had the hair done a certain way, and they're driving a certain car. And I asked myself, like, how is that the standard of living? And who determines this our standard of living? And looking at like the economy right now, how everything is kind of falling apart, in my opinion, and based on credit, in my opinion, and people trying to keep up with the Joneses. So I started thinking about like how that is a form of mind control. And I have this book. It's called Mind Control: The Ancient Art of Psychological Warfare by Dr. Ha Ha Lung. And it may seem like a book that is meant for mind control of other people, but it's more about mind control for yourself. In the introduction, it quotes, "Be realistic. How can you expect others to deal with you honestly, reasonably, or at least logically when you can't even trust your own mind to faithfully serve you, to acquire information accurately, and to arrive at reasonable and logical conclusions as to the actual nature of the world around you?" And it gives you a little exercise for seeing like how your mind can be tricked through your vision. I guess we could start off like the book starts off with advice on how to control your own mind, and that would be to know yourself, right? Number one, know yourself. Know what buttons can be pushed within you. Know your moral beliefs. Know your philosophical beliefs, and know like your reactions to the world around you, and know what you personally see, what you personally hear, feel, taste. And it says to know your enemy. So we know that there are people out in the world trying to gain sway over us. We as a people and we as individuals, and they have certain tactics and things that they do to gain that control, depending on if it's, a world leader or a head of family or the head of a friend group. There's tactics that go on within those groups for people to gain dominance over one another, and know your environment, which kind of goes into the same, right? Like, know what's going on around you, know who's doing what and why. Um, and it goes into like fight or flight. So, some people, when they're being coerced or somebody's trying to sway them, their first reaction is to fight, fight back, which was mine coming up and still is coming up my whole life. Like when I feel manipulated, I get very riled up, and I want to fight back. And then there's flight, where when somebody's coming at you in any way, you run away. And there's also freezing, right, where you just freeze up and you just stand there and take it. So knowing myself, my fight instinct, it helped me in a lot of ways, and it also hurt me in a lot of ways. Like somebody knowing that I would fight back when being coerced would provoke that, right? They would do things to like explicitly coerce me, or try to sway me, knowing that I would get riled up and have something to say, and then that would affect the view of the people around me, or that would put me in situations that weren't good for me. Also, like I was in a relationship for a long time where a person would go out in the world and say, hey, Brian is like, he gets riled up really easy and he thinks this, that, and the other thing. But then they would come to me and provoke me. They would tell me that this person was doing this, that, and the other thing, or this person said this, that, the other thing. And I would go to that person, having already been told that he's crazy. He'll come to you and say these things. So not only were those people being mind controlled through rumors, which we all need to look out for. Like, don't believe what you're told by other people. Always seek it out for yourself, but in a calm way, right? And then I was being mind controlled by being told things that meant to provoke me to go out and confront these people. And then even after I realized that this person was doing that, like telling them I was going to come to them, and then telling me things that would, provoke me to go confront them, I would still do that, but in a different way. I'd be approached like, I think I'm being lied to, but this person says you did that and the other thing, and that still just ended up in basically the rumor mill, or like being involved in drama. And so I had to eventually just pull myself away from that altogether. And again, as an elite athlete and performer, or just anybody else in the world, you have to make sure that you're not being drawn into that. You're not being drawn into drama that you don't need in your life. You're not being mind controlled in that way. And as far as the flight thing, I did that too. Like after a while, and after that relationship, I just went away from the world. I realized that like some of the people that I was being coaxed into confronting, or people that I was around, they would go along, and that made me not want to be around people for a while. So I just went away from people for a long time. I'm still getting over that. Many people who were coaxed into that have since come to me and apologized, but I still have a lot of hurt and emotion wrapped around like the fact that they went along in the first place. And so like that control is still kind of in there, because I'm still kind of wrapped up in that, and I'm trying to get away from that. And it goes on to like the love and respect of power. So like if somebody has power or perceived power, everybody around them will kind of capitulate to them. The people that choose to be around will give in to their bidding, even if the bidding seems silly. I was watching or reading about this guy who he would infiltrate cults, and he said one sure sign of a cult is that everybody in the group, there's a tenet within that group that everybody proclaims to believe, but nobody actually believes. And the only reason every single person goes along with this tenet is because they think everybody else believes it. And that happens with people with power, or they just go along. They just go along because it's what they do, because the person in power says that's what they do, and that is something we all need to look for, right? Like, are we being manipulated into believing something just because we think everybody else believes it? And I think that's another thing that goes on with this woke crowd a lot, is they think all their friends around them believe this thing. Maybe. I'm still not sure about that. So it's either they all believe, the people around them believe it, but then again, the more I think about it, I think people in the woke crowd, nobody believes it, but they think that they can use it as a means. The fact that they think pretending they believe this thing somehow will give them power over you. And that kind of goes into the carrot or the stick, right? Like, they just beat you over the head. Like, you're going to give in, you're going to comply. And this is another thing that, if you look at my older videos, well, my recent older videos, I go into like how I come from a family of abuse where you were going to get stolen from, and if given long enough, your children will be assaulted in a certain way, and that's just the way it is. And everybody knew, but everybody pretended that it wasn't like that. But it is. And that's it, like bullies, mental bullies, where they just beat you over the head with nonsense, right? They just beat you down to get you to comply rather than actually physically beating you, which can go on too. It can be both. And again, so like if you're a elite athlete or performer, or anybody else, you're going to have these things you want to do in life, and if you don't have the right people around you, you're going to be bludgeoned over the head. You're going to be mentally bullied. You're going to be pushed to do things that are against what you're getting at in order to fall in with the crowd. Or even if you do have some success, there's still going to be these areas in life where people are beating you in the head to just go along with this stuff that's like against, say, your happiness and well-being. Beyond the accolades, beyond the medals, beyond the trophies, there's more to life than that. And so you have to watch out who's around you steering the other parts of your life. Or even like I talked about in the last one, where you say you go on a weight loss journey, or you want to accomplish climbing a mountain or doing some runs or something like that, and you start off and it's yours, it's your goal, but the people around you start gathering around and like, you got to do this, you got to do that, you need to go here, you need to dress like this, you need to eat this, and a real runner or a real wrestler or a real martial artist doesn't do these things. And then it's not you anymore. It's this conglomeration of all these other people's ideas. And you become mind controlled. Though you are climbing mountains, though you are receiving championships, not really yours, because you have been manipulated away from your original intent. So what we really need to listen to when we're say we're talking to the group, like with this kid that I was talking to with the wolf pack thing. I was encouraging him. I've been encouraging him to just go out. Okay, you have opinions about wolf packs or dogs or whatever. We have a local wolf pack place or a local wolf haven where you can go and you can observe wolves for yourself. Leave what I've said out of it. Leave what your friends have said out of it, and just go and watch wolves. Or there's a local dog park where you can just go and watch dogs, and see how they react with one another, and leave everybody else behind. Everybody else who may try to steer you one way or the other, leave them behind and just go observe for yourself. And, I guess too, for elite athletes and performers and everybody else around food, I keep trying to get people to journal their food. Like if you're an elite athlete or performer, maybe you track your food. Well, don't just track your food. Track what you ate, and then track how you felt a half hour, an hour, and 3 hours after you ate it. Because that way you'll know where if there's a spike and then a crash, or if there's just an immediate crash, or if these things give you long-term energy. And mind control would be people telling you, eat this, 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 and this, and you're going to feel like this, 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 and this. And then you go and you eat those things, and you're not feeling like that, and you don't know why. And this is just an example. This isn't dietary advice in particular. But I know somebody who's allergic to carrots, and maybe they're told that, carrots are healthy, and they would get stomach cramps when they ate carrots, and for a long time they didn't know why. And I know another person who loves pears and had a big outbreak from pears, but didn't know why, and has allergy to pears, and the other person is allergic to carrots. And there's many things out there in your personal diet that may sound healthy or may be healthy for a lot of other people, and it might not be for you. So what I would encourage you to do is to start seeing with your own eyes, hearing with your own ears, feeling with your own hands, smelling with your own nose, tasting with your own mouth, and experiencing the world as it is through your lens. And that anecdotal evidence is great for you personally. You might express, again, you go out in the world and you express, well, that isn't my experience, that isn't what happened to me. And they'll say, oh, that's anecdotal. Well, anecdotal is really all you personally have. All that other stuff is, I like to call it a pile of anecdotes. So somebody that you don't know got together with a whole bunch of other people that you don't know without you there, and compiled this supposed information that you weren't a part of, and now they're presenting it to you. And I've noticed that often in this world that these people compiling stuff over there doesn't resonate with me. It's not what I see with my own eyes in front of me. Groucho Marx has this scene in an old movie where he's having this conversation with a woman, and he ends up asking her, who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes? And I would encourage you to start clearing the fog, get rid of all of the outside opinions. Don't be distracted with what they're having you look at and what they are having you listen to. That goes for everybody, your mom, your dad, your friend group, the news, the experts. And just start looking at the world with your own eyes, and start building a framework from there. Again, Coach Brian with Northwest Elite Spirit. Go ahead, of course, give this a like. I would appreciate it if you commented, shared your experience, shared your thoughts, even if you disagree at all, and share it with the world, and subscribe.